Hello, I am so happy you are here today. So I have a lot to talk about. I'm Jackie, and I want to talk about whole cloth quilts. I love whole cloth quilts. Now I like to piece too, don't get me wrong, but I think that the whole cloth quilt is just an elegant way to really show off some quilting. So I have a pattern out, and it's called Heavenly Hearts. And I'm going to open up a class for it here pretty soon. And just to get this out of the way, I just want to let you know that the price of the class, that's with the pattern. Here's one that I did. That's with the pattern, and you will mark it. And it comes with multiple videos on how to do each section, from centering it to marking it to quilting it and the background fills. So the price of it is $97, and you get all that. But for those of you that are on my email list right now, your price for a limited time only is $79. So it's a pretty good deal. So let's get on to showing some quilting now that we've got that out of the way. So let me just hang this up over here where I had it. And I want to go over background fills a little bit with you. So with the Heavenly Hearts pattern, I did stippling on it, but you don't have to stipple it. It's a good way to learn how to do different background fills because there's a lot of open negative space on there. And background fills, what it does is it sets down the back and really makes the design of the motif pop. So I'm going to do some pebbles right now. Just to give you an idea, I've got my machine all set up for free motion. So pebbles, you just create just pebbles, you know, and they don't have to be perfectly round. They don't even have to be the same size. Let me get over here and see how the backtracking is when you're stitching on top of stitches. And I just also want you to know that this pattern is for intermediate. But if you're a beginner and you want to try it, I feel like just take your time and you can do it. So these are pebbles, and this is considered, this small, a background fill. So take your time with those pebbles, okay? You notice I have it on free motion, where I'm creating the stitch length. My feed dogs are dropped, but I'm not going very fast because I want to be in control. Now I want to do something else. Another background fill is we could just make teardrops. And background fills, you want them kind of small so that it really sets down that fabric. And this is all it is. You just make a little teardrop and you go different directions.
Hi, Charlotte from New York and Brenda from Kansas.
Hi, how are you? And I put a little crescent in here just to fill in the space.
You'll demo on the long arm in a minute too, right?
Yes, I will demonstrate the stippling on the long arm. So this is another background fill. This one's a lot of fun, and it's very simple because all it is basically making a teardrop and echoing it. But for a beginner, you need to practice it on paper. Another one is just loops. I mean, we did loops, I believe, last time we did a Facebook Live. And for a background fill, actually, you're going to make those loops just a little bit smaller. It's a little bit of dense quilting. And when you're doing a background fill, doing small motifs like this, you want smaller stitches. So this is basically all it is. And that could fill in a space also, just to set the background down. All right, so those are three background fills right there, actually. So let's move on over to the long arm, and I want to show you the stippling that I'm doing on my Heavenly Hearts here. It is almost finished. I'm working on the border right now. So I'm just going to take it nice and slow. I'm doing this in manual, which I'm in charge of my stitches. So my needle is going to keep going no matter what, even when I stop the machine. So all it is just little tiny stitches. Again, because it is a small motif, small stitches, just filling in the space.
Is that also called meandering?
Meandering is when you do it on a larger scale.
Oh.
I would call this micro stippling. I mean, you could even get smaller than this if you want, and I have. And we can compare with this one right here. The stippling on this one here is way smaller, is a lot denser than what I've done on this one here. So there are different sizes you can do. You know, you just have to play with it, and you have to have fun with it. And, you know, finally you'll decide what you want to put on your quilt. So
Talk about the different designs on.
the different designs on here are, so we got the background fill. We just now talked about that, and that's one of the last things you do on here. But we do have cross hatching, and I have, all my cross hatching is about 1/2 inch. But on these smaller hearts here, this is cross hatch on square, okay, where the lines are vertical and horizontal. And here on these larger hearts and these smaller hearts here, I did those on the diagonal, which makes them look more like a diamond shape. I wanted the different look. I just think that it's more interesting on the quilt to do that. So that's basically what I did. And I'm going to stop it with this right here because I did do one, let's see, not this one, but you can fill in every other one of these little areas here. And then it starts to look more like a checkerboard, but it's just beautiful. You can stipple in every other one, or you can do a matchstick stitch, which will fill in every other area, and it just gives it a whole different look. It's, you know, it's your quilt, and you can do whatever you want to it, but it's a good way to really get some practice on following lines with your machine, whether it's a long arm or domestic, because this is marked. And then the crosshatch right here is not marked. It's actually, I did it with a ruler, and it's all in the videos on how I did it.
Brenda asks, how many stitches per inch? Is it the same for the long arm? Is your long arm stitch regulated? It seems like it's going a lot faster than mine.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I have mine on manual, and I have it set at 725. That's the speed that it's going. And I have to keep it moving, but you don't want to move it too fast because you want to create those tiny stitches. And the tiny stitches, you're looking at like 16 to 18 stitches per inch. So if you want to do it in regulated, precision regulated, where you can set the stitch length, you can set it at 16 to 18 stitches per inch. I hope that answers your question. Any more questions?
What batting do you prefer? Sarah asks.
All right. Hi, Sarah. Excuse me. All right, so the batting is, this batting here is just a scrap piece that I had. And it is Linda Taylor batting. It is a Hobbs 80/20, but it's thick. It's very thick. It's more for a show quilt. But when I'm doing things this small like this for myself, I try to use up my scraps. And as quilters, we all know we've got those scraps laying around. I have a tote full of them. Even if you have to piece your batting together, it's a good way to get rid of it. So this is called Linda's batting, and you can get it at Linda's Electric Quilters. So.
Hi to Sarah, Adriana, Brenda, Leslie, Carol, Carla, and Sarah. Okay, another question was okay, so what can you use a whole cloth for?
A whole cloth quilt, basically you can hang it on a wall somewhere. You can also, you can mark, let's just say if we want a larger quilt, we can mark 4 of these. And then you could piece them together. You can put a border on them, and then you're going to have a much larger quilt. So that's another thing that you can do. I taught this class a while back, and the lady that finished hers, she made hers, she put a border on it. Before she quilted it, she put the border on it. Then she put it underneath, she did it on her domestic, and she quilted it for a baby quilt. And it was just absolutely beautiful.
That was another question someone emailed in. They said, can you do whole cloth quilting on a domestic machine?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just start from the center and work your way out and around. And even on the long arm, my videos will tell you to start from the center and work out and around when you're actually stitching the design. When you've got the design stitched, you can go anywhere within the quilt actually and start stippling or doing your background fill, whatever you choose to do. But I still like to start in the middle doing the background fill on a whole cloth and working out and around. That's why right now I'm trying to get the border done on this, and that's it. I'm done. Okay. Any more questions?
We'll wait and see. Did you have another background fill to demo?
Yes, I can do another background fill. Absolutely. If you're doodling on paper, you can always come up with your own background fills. Here's one right here that's really pretty. And you can do it as large or as small as you want. We're going to start out with a circle. And then we're going to do a teardrop. A little bit of backtracking. And this is actually a small little flower. And you can see my needle's going at a decent speed. But I have to keep my machine moving because my feed dogs are dropped. And I'm not moving my quilt very fast. Okay, so now I'm going to come around here, and then we're going to make another one, and it's going to look overlapped. Once you start doing this particular background fill, and you overlap these or make them look like they're overlapped, it fills it in so nicely, and it's just kind of mesmerizing because the flowers are coming out from behind each other. Okay, now we're going to come over here. Let's make a partial circle. And make another one. And you can see, I hope you can see. Are you getting this, Amy?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a few more questions too, but keep going.
Okay.
So Lisa did say she just joined. The link didn't bring her to the live. That's my fault, Lisa. If you're on the email list and you got all the emails last night and this morning, there were some errors, and it may have seemed like Jackie was drinking. But she wasn't. We just got confused with the email, so sorry about that. And so sorry about a link that didn't work either. Adriana asks, for whole cloth, do you use wide backing for the front and back?
If your whole cloth is going to be very, very big, which if you take it to somewhere and have it printed, I think you can only get it so large. The thing about it is, what was?
Let me reread the question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. For the whole cloth, do you use wide backing for the front and the back?
You can, but on these, I did not use wide backing. It was, I think, 42-inch wide fabric, And that's really all you need for your top. For your backing, if you don't want a seam in the back, yes, you can use the wide backing. I did not use the wide backing. I used the same fabric on the top as I did the back, and I pieced it together. So it's your choice, actually. And so therefore, both of mine are the same backing on top and bottom. But if you do a different color or a very light print for your backing, you will actually have a two-sided quilt, and you could change it out. So that's just a little tip there. I just had enough of the grunge fabric, the one that's on the machine, to be able to do the backing. So I just went ahead and used it.
Okay, and then sizing, that it can size up or down?
Yes, you can. I don't think you will be able to size it up because most places 36 by 36, well, 36 width is the largest they can do due to their printers. If you find a place that can large it up, yes, absolutely you can. But you can downsize it as well. In fact, I am thinking about, while I was quilting this one, I just think that the fabric and the thread is so pretty that I'm thinking about downsizing it and putting it on the back of a jacket, making a jacket and putting it on the back. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be pretty, on the back of like a jean jacket.
Yeah.
Sarah asks, do you have a thread preference?
I usually use Omni thread when I'm quilting on my long arm, but I have been known to use slicker threads, shinier threads like a glide thread or Magnifico or something like that. And you have to adjust your tension sometimes when changing different types of thread, so beware of that on a long arm. But on my domestic, I could use the Omni thread, and I can also use the glide thread which is a slicker thread. And that's what I'm using right now as I'm demoing on my domestic. So it's your preference, whatever you want to use. Now, with that said, I would say that whenever I quilt, I always use the same color and same type in my bobbin that I do on my top. I just think that it looks a lot nicer when it's quilted, and I just like the same contrast.
Linda asks, oh, I can't see the question right now. Is this the one for the page link we got in the email? The Heavenly Hearts pattern? Yes. And then like if she's kind of talking about just whole cloth quilting and background fills in general right now, but we this specific pattern, Heavenly Hearts, is the one that's going to be ready next week, and that's the email link, but it's not for sale yet, but it will be next week.
Yeah, it's a really fun one to do. And also I want to point out too that when you do the Heavenly Hearts, especially on a long arm, not so much on a domestic, for me, it's easier to follow a line doing it on a domestic than it is on a long arm. And I show the videos on how to use rulers and things like that to be able to follow the lines. But on a domestic and a long arm, you might get little, I'm going to call them wobbles, where it goes off the line, which is, it's common. It happens to me. And so therefore, if that happens, instead of taking out the stitches, just continue to keep going, and you can stitch over the whole design again, which really makes it a lot bolder, the design itself a lot bolder, and it stands out more. So I did that to this one here. In some areas I did, in some areas I did not. But on the one that's on my machine right now, you can see, can you get a good close-up of this? So you can see this is just one layer, okay? But out here, it's more than one layer on all of these. So it makes it a little bit bolder. Here's a better view right here on these. I went over it more than once. which really makes the design itself pop. And with the blue aqua thread that I'm using on the one that's on the long arm, I went over it a second time. Now there are going to be some areas that you go over it 3 times because there is a lot of backtracking in this. But you can see,
oh yeah,
I went over it even more so. I just think it looks a lot nicer. Here we have a single layer in the crosshatch, and I'm going to leave that just like that because I don't want that to be real bold. But as far as the design itself, I went back over it again. And with that said, I mean, after quilting this the first time, you're like, oh, I don't want to go over that again. But the thing about it is, it gives you more practice using your ruler and following lines, and it makes your design pop even more so.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So I really accept, whenever I teach anything like this, I always tell my students, you know, you can get rid of that little area there that went off the line by going over it a second time. And you can even go over it a third time. It's just more practice. It's just totally up to you what you want to do with it.
Okay. A lot of people were commenting they had a trouble with the link getting here, so they missed the first 15 minutes. I'm going to email the replay, and then I'm also going to post it on her Facebook page. So, sorry, technology fail on our part. Ask her to quilt all day, and she can, but but set up links is not the strong suit. Adriana says, lovely quilt. Beverly says, so pretty. Katrina asks, what rulers do you like to use on the long arm? And maybe you could, you know, talk through. Katrina, we did a ruler Facebook Live last week that you can find on the on her Facebook page, but also she'll address some right now, and you can show where you used rulers here and what ones, which ones.
So in the videos on some of the supply part, I believe it is, or getting started, I can't remember. I did so many videos on this, but a straight edge for this works perfect for me. You can get an arc ruler to help go around the curves a little bit more, but honestly, when you put your machine up against a ruler, and let's just say we're going to follow this right here, your foot is going to be right up against your ruler, and then we're going to start going around. My finger is my foot, and I'm just going to turn my ruler as I go. If I have to stop with my needle down and move my ruler, that's okay. And then, trust me, I had to do that a lot. But you're just going to move your ruler as you're going around the curves. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit, a couple of tips on how to make those lines a little bit more even when you're stitching. If you watch that needle, you're going to have more mishaps, meaning that you're going to miss the line that you marked than you would like. So don't watch your needle. Get used to watching ahead of where you want to go. And stay relaxed. You have to relax and you have to breathe. So those are a couple of tips that are really, really strong, and they work really, really well. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've told my students, you know, you've got to relax and you've got to watch where you're going and not the needle. So,
cool.
Yeah. So, any more questions? Oh, and the crosshatch too. So the crosshatch is, there's a video on how to do that. So, you know, you just line up the line of the ruler, make your stitch line, travel on your design, move it over, and just go back and forth with it. So that also creates, because you're backtracking on the one layer stitch here, and what you have is sometimes you have 2 layers because you're traveling to get to the next area to make your crosshatch. So it does help to put that second layer of stitch all the way around to really hide some of the bold and unbold areas of where your crosshatch is. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So. Catherine asks, is this pattern digitized or printed?
It is not digitized. This is a print. So what you'll do is you will download the
So
pattern.
they'll get a PDF.
Yes, and you'll download the pattern to your computer, and then you'll put the pattern on a thumb drive, and you take it to your favorite printing place. I took mine to Staples, and I had them printed out for me.
Cool. A few more people maybe hopped on, said they missed the first 15 minutes. It's going to be, you can watch the replay. It's going to be on her Facebook page. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Technology. I can do this all day.
Any other questions about whole cloth quilting or quilting in general? Let's see. Is there video? Melinda asks, is there video help for machine setup? I cannot figure out how to adjust the tensions so that I can't have a bird's nest. Do you need to know if she has a long arm or domestic?
Yes. And actually I can kind of answer that question, but if she can tell me if she has a long arm or domestic, I can address it a little bit better. But while we're doing that though, okay, I'm going to take this out. And this is for the long arm, but this also applies to your domestic, okay? So you always have to pull that bobbin thread to the top. If you don't pull that bobbin thread to the top, you are going to get bird nest. And not only will you get bird nest, but your thread might break, okay? Because it's knotting up in the back, and you can't see it.
Melinda's telling you what machine she has. She has a Baby Lock Jazz 2 and a Cutie tabletop quilter.
Okay, I'm not familiar with those, but...
is that domestic or long arm?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe she'll...
Yeah, domestic or long arm. Mm-hmm. So, but this here applies to both.
Okay.
So when you... I'm just going to do something right here. So if you want to get in real close here.
Okay.
So I am going to follow this line. Let's just say, I already did it, but let's just say. All right, so needle down, needle up. There is my bobbin thread right there, okay? My bobbin thread is to the surface. But to bring my bobbin thread up, I had to move my machine. If you're on a domestic machine, you're moving your quilt, all right? So now, when I bring this back over to where my bobbin thread is, I have a loop underneath that I cannot see, okay? So I'm going to take my bobbin thread. It's the bobbin thread that's going to have the loop, and it can cause bird's nest as well. And I'm going to give a little tug until I feel comfortable. Sometimes you can feel it where it's come in together. And then I'm going to tug on both of the top and the bobbin thread. And now I will begin to stitch. Now I know there is no loop under there. So anytime you bring that bobbin thread up, you have to move your machine and then come back. You have to pull that loop out. Let's do that on the domestic.
Okay, yeah, because Linda just said she had, or I'm sorry, Melinda has a domestic. So yeah, if you can demo it on there.
Okay, yes. Okay, so let me cut the thread here. All right, okay, so on the domestic, I'm going to put my needle down. I'm holding on to my top thread, not real tight. Needle down, needle up. Okay, now I'm going to move my machine. Now in this case, I didn't have to move.
You moved the fabric.
I moved the fabric, I'm sorry. I didn't have to move it too far, but my needle is way up here and my bobbin thread came up right here. So when I bring this back over to the bobbin thread, there's a little loop under there. And it can cause some issues, and you don't want that. So when I come back over to where the bobbin came out, I'm going to give a little tug. And then I'm going to put my needle down right next to where that bobbin came out. Needle down. And always have your domestic machine set on needle down when you're doing this. And now I'm going to hold on to both tails here. Make sure you hold on to them, because that can cause issues too, because that thread can get away from you. And I'm going to lock in my stitches, and then I'm going to begin to stitch. Well, let's see what happened underneath. Cut my thread, and there we have it. That's where my thread cut. So if you're quilting a quilt, you don't want to cut your thread with your machine. You want to bring your bobbin thread up to the top and then clip to the surface.
Okay. Got a few more questions.
Okay.
So let me make sure I didn't miss any.
Okay.
Linda asks, do you travel through the pattern or have to break thread often? I guess on this specific, like...
Well, in some of the videos, I teach that you want to try to, and you have to do this yourself. You have to decide this yourself. You have to find the longest route without cutting the thread. There is areas where you will cut the thread. Let's just come back over here. And another thing too is, all right, so let's do this right here, okay? So if I was going to quilt this, I'm going to start right here, just like this, okay? I'm going to come here and I'm thinking to myself, well, while I'm right here, because this heart connects to this heart, I can get this heart all the way around back over to here, okay? And then I'm going to come up a little bit, and it's like, okay, well, I'm right here right now. Why don't I get these? So I'm going to come around, and we're going to backtrack here to get over to this side, and then back around. Then I'm going to come up here. Now I'm going to pass this little area, but I'm going to come up here and I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to do this circle, come back around, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish this out all the way down. So
everybody might take a different path, but
right.
Trying to keep it as continuous as possible.
Yes, just try to keep it as continuous as possible. Sometimes you can't. So here's another area over here. So this area right here, these large rings that I have in here, I have 2 of them right here. So when I came around to this area here, what I did is I just went across with my ruler, making sure it went straight on the line, and then back over. I followed that up, came back down and back over, and then I continued with the design.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of finding the route, and the more you do this, the faster you're going to figure it out, and the easier it's going to get for you.
Okay, there are a few more questions. Let me find them.
I hope everybody's having fun quilting. If it's not fun, then I don't know. I have fun every time I quilt, so I try to make it as fun as possible. Sometimes it can be frustrating, you know, when something doesn't work out for you, and that still happens, but walk away and then come back later. I
don't know if I got this one. Sarah asked, is it printed on paper or cloth at Staples? It's printed on paper.
Paper, uh-huh.
And then Kathleen says, when you took your thumb drive to Staples, what did they print the pattern onto? Onto paper.
Onto paper, yeah.
And then Catherine asks, the pattern would then need to be traced onto the fabric with the light table?
Yes. And
you have a video lesson on that?
Yes, and I can actually show the print of the pattern here. Let me just
okay.
grab it real quick. So this is what I got right here. This is it. So it would be printed out just like this. Okay? And if you know how to print it on your home printer, you can do that as well, but you'll probably have to take the pieces together.
Let's see. There was a question about locking in stitches. Let me see if I can find it. Kathy asks, how do you lock in your stitches when first starting?
Well, let's do that over here because it's the same on a domestic as it is a long arm.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. So we are going to, we're going to bring up our bobbin thread. Okay. Okay. Grabbing my bobbin thread there. And then because I have an open foot, when I'm doing free motion, I really like to use an open foot. But if I'm using rulers and free motion, I will usually have a round foot on. But I like the open foot so you can see it a little bit better. So I'm pulling my bobbin thread, making sure I get that loop out. I'm holding it back here, not over here, where the foot can catch it. And then I'm just going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually I do 6 stitches to lock it in, but I am moving my quilt. I am barely moving my quilt because you don't want to lock in 6 stitches in the same spot over and over again, because what you're doing is you're building up a knot underneath. So I've got that locked in. So now I'm going to stitch. Okay, I'm going to stitch, and now I'm going to stop. Now with domestic, always have your needle down position on. Okay, so I stopped and I'm ready to pull my bobbin thread up. So my bobbin thread, bring my needle up, and I raise my foot, and now I pull my quilt towards me. And with the long arm, you'll be pulling your machine. It doesn't matter towards you or behind you. Bring this back over. Try to get as close to where the bobbin came out. Needle down, needle up, foot up, and I'm holding taut onto the top thread. So now there is my bobbin thread. Your bobbin thread should be a loop, okay? And I don't know, can you see this? This is the loop right here. This is my bobbin thread, and this is my top thread. And so now I'm going to clip it. One thing I meant to show you that I didn't is when you stop, you need to put those 6 tiny stitches in before you bring your bobbin thread up and cut.
So that's locking in at the beginning and the end?
Yes, that's locking in at the beginning and the end. And then we'll just come over here because we are locked in, and we're going to clip right to the surface. Now you can bury your threads if you want. The only time I bury threads is if I'm working on a show quilt. And usually on the show quilts, it's if there's any kind of top stitching. If I'm stitching in a ditch or backtracking or something like that, most of the time I will not bury the stitches. I will lock them in.
Heidi asks, is she stitching on paper? And if so, where do we get them? No, the paper is a pattern.
The paper is a pattern. What you're going to do, it's all in the videos, is what you're going to do is you're going to take that pattern, you're going to get it printed out, you're going to bring it home, you're going to pin your fabric, your top fabric, to the pattern. My pattern has all kinds of pinholes in them, straight pins. And you pin your top fabric to it so that it doesn't move. You don't want that to move. Then you put it on top of a light box, and then you use some kind of marking tool, your favorite marking tool, and make sure you test that marking tool before you start drawing on your quilt. Make sure it's going to come out of the fabric. So then you put it on a light box, and the light from the light box shines through so that you can see the pattern underneath, and you follow the lines.
Venetia, I'm sorry you missed the first 15 minutes. That was my fault. The link was bad. But we'll post the replay so you can catch that first 15 minutes again. Any other questions?
Well, I guess that wraps it up, huh?
Yeah, unless anybody comments any questions. But
yeah. Well, I hope the information was helpful. And let me just say that practice. You're just going to get better and better. Don't get frustrated if you do get this pattern, or if you don't get the pattern. I don't care. Whatever you're quilting, don't get frustrated. I understand. I'm self-taught, so I do know the frustration sometimes. But just keep going with it, and don't forget to relax, breathe, and don't watch the needle.
Well, okay, questions are coming in. Hold on. Leslie says a small magnet top and bottom doesn't leave pin marks. Would you use a magnet on this?
On for the paper?
Yeah.
No.
It might not keep it in place for how you need it?
You need your top fabric secure to the pattern. Mm. And you need to make sure you take it off the light box when you think you're finished drawing onto your fabric. you need to make sure that every little detail of that pattern is printed, because it's really hard to line the fabric up on that pattern again once you unpin it. Now, that happened to me on the one on my long arm just now, is I was quilting away. I was even to the point of doing the background fill, the stippling on it, and I looked over and I thought, let's come over here, Amy. I looked over on this and I saw right here, okay, this I marked, but this I did not.
Oh.
And I already had background fill in this area here, and I thought, oh, I am so glad I caught that before I did any more background fill. And there's a video, once you've quilted on your machine, how to fix something that you missed. But you don't want to do that. Just double check and go over your pattern thoroughly before you unpin it. Before you unpin the top to from the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Leslie says the magnets do work. So if you're always open. If someone says something works, then for them that's cool. You just use pins yourself. You prefer pins yourself.
I'm not sure what the magnets are going to hold to. On my light box, my husband made it for me years ago, and there's no metal in the light box, so that's why I pin. But if you can put the magnets, yeah, by all means. I mean, I'm totally open.
Okay. Few more comments. Doreen said you can also use a window for a light box.
Yes, you can.
Tape it. Oh, that's cool.
Yes, you can.
Let's see.
And I think I said that in one of the videos too.
Doreen says, great presentation. Or Lisa says, great presentation. Thank you. So informative. There was another question in here. I'm looking for it. Oh, there we go. Linda, what's your favorite marking tool? A blue one would set up with a light bar. You use a...
Let's see what I got here. So I said it in the video. Let me just step over here for a minute.
Okay, Leslie says small magnet on either side of the paper and fabric holds firmly for her.
Okay. All right. Whatever works. And I'm totally open to that. I mean, just because my videos tell you how to do something, I mean, if you can find a better way that works for you, absolutely do it. I don't want anybody stressing out when they're quilting, and everybody has a different way of doing things. So,
your marking pin?
Oh, marking. Okay. Back to marking. So for the purposes of this video here, I use the Friction marking pin, and this irons out. Now you can't see, I haven't even ironed it out, but you can't see it right now because I did the double stitching on it. So, but this does iron out, and it's very popular. It does have some drawbacks. I don't know if the newer ones do or not. This one's pretty old, but once you iron them out, iron the color out, if your quilt top gets cold, and I don't even know what the temperature has to be, because I tried this one time. Excuse me. I tried this one time. I marked a quilt. It was just a little practice piece, and I stitched on it and everything, and then I ironed it out, and I stuck it in the freezer, because I heard if it got cold, those markings will come back. Guess what? They did. Now, I don't know if after you wash this or spritz it with water or whatever, I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. But my favorite marking tool, and I believe this is in the video as well, is the water erasing styler.
I don't know if I can.
And
that doesn't show. I'll have to post a picture of it.
And this is water soluble, and it goes on blue, and it's a fine tip as well. If you get a wide tip marking tool, sometimes it's harder to follow that line, so try to get a fine tip. And anyway, so you mark the whole quilt with this. You can do it on top of a light box. That's fine. The only thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put iron to it. So once your project is finished, something this big, what I would do with this is I would clean out my kitchen sink. I have a big kitchen sink, and so I would clean it out really good. No detergent, no grease, nothing in the sink. I would put water in the sink, and then I would submerge this. I would have towels available over on my island, so that I can just hold it up. You just want to shake out the water as much as you can, and then bring it over to the island and lay it on those towels. And you let it lay overnight, and when you wake up, more than likely it's going to be dry. Most of the ones that I have done are dry the next morning, and you wake up and you're just blown away because the markings are gone, and you're, oh my gosh, that's beautiful, because the water somehow kind of shrinks the fabric just a little bit, not much, and really makes everything pop.
Cool. There was one more question. Oh, someone asked, where can I get the pattern? Do you sell it? We do sell it. So we'll put it'll go on sale next week, and the pattern comes with classes. And we'll put that in the comments of this video. This video there'll be a replay, and it'll also go out to her email to her email list. There was another, do you use 2 layers of batting?
Years and years ago, people said, use 2 layers, it makes it pop more, And I thought, well, okay, I'll do that. And I have done that. But it's been years and years and years, even show quilts. I do have a quilt that I quilted for a lady that's in the Paducah Museum, and it only has 1 layer of batting in it. And this is 1 layer of batting as well. So,
does the tiny or micro stippling make it pop more?
Yes, the tiny micro stippling makes it pop more. So I do. So on this particular, this is like a faux Dubiani silk, and this here, you can see a lot of the little wrinkles. I don't know what they're called, but I can see it a lot in this as opposed to this here. Mm-hmm. And this is a grunge fabric. It's a cotton. But if you find that this is happening to yours, you can go in and just kind of stitch maybe a little vein in some of the areas just to kind of set the fabric down a little bit more. But I find that basically on just regular cotton fabric, I don't use 2 layers of fabric.
Of batting.
Of batting, I'm sorry. Yeah. It sometimes makes it a little bit difficult too, because sometimes it depends the loft of the fabric too. It's been known to drag when I take my needle across.
Okay. I think that wraps up everything we were going to talk about, and we answered all the questions, it looks like. Okay. Leslie says thank you. Faye says thank you, so interesting. She's in South Africa. Oh, cool. I didn't list where everybody's from, but we're going to go today. We're going to go. So the replay will be on Facebook. We'll also email it out to the email list.
And thank you so much for joining me. This was so much fun, and happy quilting.
And we're going to do another Facebook Live next week on some other different topic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. We'll post when that's ready. But
okay, thank you.